Louise joined us live from the tunnel. He confirmed if Conte had stayed at Chelsea, he would for sure have left the club, were his words to us. Every single Saturday we sit here, we talk about football for an hour between 8 and 9. If you've not seen the show before, we'll spend the next few minutes giving you a little bit of an insight into what it's all about, particularly those who've just joined us on Twitter and Facebook. You're more than welcome. Use the hashtag PL Tonight to join in the debate, join in the conversation. We're going to be talking about the importance of captaincy in the modern game, and we're going to start with a question from one of our fan pundits. This is Adam.
So after Lloris's drink-driving antics, he kept his captaincy. Paul Pogba is stripped of the vice-captaincy after his performances and maybe more so what he has said in the press recently. And what do you guys think about the whole captain situation at the moment? Captaincies has changed a lot since the likes of Robson, Keane, etc. But what kind of role did it have, and how would you have felt as a player if you were stripped of the captaincy or the vice-captaincy, as it's been in Paul Pogba's case?
It was an interesting decision by Jose, wasn't it, to choose to do that, not fine him, not drop him, to publicly take something away?
Yeah, it was a big decision because obviously he would have known the attention that would have got. But I think the difference, answering his question there, the difference between the captains of today and yesteryear is that I think we've got more captains now that lead by example. We haven't got talkers, we haven't got shouters and people that are going to grab people and demand from people physically and verbally. It's more they're going to lead by the example. And I don't think there's a particular right way and a wrong way. It's just, you have to have an influence on the other members of your squad. Whatever way you're going to do it, you have to have an influence. And at the moment, I don't see. Sometimes though, there needs to be someone in that change room, whether it's the captain or not. I think the best change rooms is when you've got a few leaders in there, when things aren't going well, and there's someone who can come in there and drag people about, and it might not even be the man wearing the armband. And that's when you get more of a unity within the squad. Yeah,
I agree. It might even be a substitute at times who's not even taking part in the game but can see different things. I think you have to be. You might have people who are very vocal. You might have you rightly said. I think with the Premier League's changed from, in the last 10, 15 years, more foreign players have come over, so therefore the influence in the dressing room is probably diluted. It used to be certainly when I played, or maybe when Rio played, there was a nucleus of maybe Manchester lads or Liverpool lads, and they were the more vocal. But I played in a great Liverpool side earlier on who had title winners in it, and it was John Barnes who may be the captain, but he wouldn't be a huge big motivator. Yeah. But when he went out on the pitch, he was magnificent, and you thought that's what you wanted. With Roy Keane, he was a great player and a shouter as well. But I think sometimes it takes all sorts of, at England it was Tony Adams, and he was a big, hard thumping, chest thumping, come on boys, let's run through that brick wall. And it takes all sorts. The main thing is that you want to do it yourself. You're professional enough, not necessarily to need all that. You just want to go out and win anyway, at all costs.
I think to answer some of the questions as well, the Pogba scenario, well, there's been a breakdown of trust, and when you are captain of a football club, you are the kind of the go-between between the manager and the players. You are the foil, regardless of whatever it was. Even when I was captain at Tottenham, a lot of my role sometimes with the younger players was getting a feel for. Some of them are homesick at times, and I'm speaking to the manager or the coach saying, you might need to look after him, you might need to have a look at this and that, and that relationship's completely gone, obviously, between Jose and Paul Pogba, and it's strictly a footballing relationship now, because the trust is not there. With the Lloris situation, I personally don't care what you do in your private life. For you,
it's about setting an example, though, is it not?
Listen, what I wanted as a player, right? Don't get me wrong. From the outside world, I get it. It was a poor example that Hugo Lloris has set, and he will do what he needs to do to put that right. What I care about is what happens on that football pitch. What happens within my dressing room? Does he make sure that we're prepared right? Is he, is he the right man for the job to make sure that when we walk out of that tunnel, I can win at the weekend? And that for me matters more than whatever he's doing in his own personal life, which was wrong. Don't get me, it was wrong. But that's for the club to deal with. If he's good as a captain, then I would still want him to be my captain, even what happened to him.
Really?
Yeah.
Looking back on the captains that you had, whether it was, at West Ham, you would have had the likes of Potts or Julian Dix or something, and then you went to Leeds with Radaby, and then it was Keane and Neville at United. Who stands out as the sort of ultimate example of what a captain should be?
There wasn't really one particular one, if I'm honest. Really? They all had their different traits, but I look at Roy Keane. His powers are on the decline probably as a player. as an individual, but it was more of his influence, what he demanded of people, whether it be in a training ground, on the training pitch, in the game in the 90 minutes, or within the hotel.
And was he not divisive along that? Did he unite the players?
Yeah, but I felt at points there were times when there were some players that would maybe go into their shell because he was so demanding and so forceful, but then there were some players that would get more out of him. I was probably one of them that I'd go, okay, I'm going to show you if he shouted at me, or I'd have an argue back, but we'd get to a place where he got what he wanted. But I think that a great captain gets the best out of individuals within that squad. He gets the best out of individuals and a collective, and he influences whether it be by force or by the way he plays. And whatever way you do it is great for a football club. I said shouters or quiet people, just influence your teammates for the better.
Just get a response off your teammates. And, Roy Keane probably went over the top at times, but as you said, he's just waiting for that response that I'm going to prove you wrong. And the fact that he was a serial winner shows that he must have been doing something right.
What was it like when you went over to Spain? What was their opinion of captains compared to ours?
Different. The Spanish were the captains. Right. It was the person who's been in the dressing room the longest was the captain. It was as easy as that. It was he's a shouter. And when I went, it was Manolo Sanchez. And then when he retired, it quickly went on to Fernando Hierro. Yeah. And he wasn't a huge shouter. But in that 5 or 10 minutes before we went out onto the pitch, he was the most vocal one. He was the one who was rallying the team. The manager was sitting in his own little cubicle out the way. He never said anything, the manager. It was up to the players to get themselves ready for the game. And then when Fernando Hierro retired, or left Madrid in the unfortunate circumstance he did, Raúl took over the captaincy. And again, he's a different character, and he wasn't very, very vocal at all, but he'd been there then the longest as well. So it just got passed on from game to game to game. And now it's Sergio Ramos.
If you'd have stayed there forever, would you have ever got it? Or
well, I was captain at various times for Real Madrid, And it was because, at various times you played, I was captain for Liverpool as well, Jake.
You'll be telling us you're man of the match in a Champions League final in a minute.
Scored a goal in the Champions League final.
Loads of messages coming in on social. Will, I can see at the bottom of the screen there on Facebook, looking at the likes of Cahill and Henderson, does it matter if your captain doesn't play every week? I wonder if it diminishes the captain's powers among the lads. They're thinking, why are you telling me what to do? You're not even in the squad. You're not playing, no?
No, because, it's a bit like what Maka was saying. It's based on their longevity at the club, a lot of it, what they've achieved. For someone like Gary Cahill, who's been here for so long, achieved so much, so of course he's going to have that level of respect, even if he's not playing.
What was it like for you when you were 18 and you were made captain at Forest? Was that something that you actively sort of sought and went after, or did it just come your way?
It just came my way. I mean, I look back now and I just think, well, it's probably a way of just adding a few more zeros onto the price tag, to be honest with you.
It worked?
Yeah, it did work. But I was captain at youth level, my whole career of England sides and my youth team. So it was just a natural progression. I did it when I went to... when I was 18 at Forest, when I was 20 years old or 21 at Newcastle United, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I always enjoyed, I suppose, the responsibility and that it put on my shoulders going out onto the pitch. And I was a different type of captain. I was one of those that I felt like I wanted to go out there and just perform and lead by example rather than be screaming and shouting. When you're young, it's very difficult. It's very difficult because you're not experienced enough to kind of see the game. Step back actually and kind of see the game in a different way and almost play that managerial role. You're so focused on yourself and trying to get through the game. So as I got older, I found it easier.
Just going back to the Pogba point about a captain. I saw a clip on social media with Pogba when he was in the French squad. He wasn't wearing the armband, but the rousing speech that he gave before they went out or at half time was that of a captain. That was someone who's standing up, taking responsibility and a leader. Someone who wants to lead that team and says, I'm taking responsibility now. I'm going to shout. I'm going to tell you guys what this means. And they went out and won the World Cup. Whether that was the catalyst to win the World Cup or not, he'd done it and everyone was tuned in that change room because you could have heard a pin drop, it seemed, in that change room. So to say he's not a leader or doesn't have the credentials to be a leader, I think is wrong for Pogba. It's just that when you're not performing how you want to perform sometimes, and when the manager seems to have lost trust in you, in that sense, it's difficult for you then to be able to go out there and portray yourself as a leader. So the Man United situation probably is a hindrance, and I think at the moment, Pogba probably just needs to play. Right. Being the captain or not, I don't think it bothers him. I don't think it's something that he's after. I think that he just wants to go out there and perform and become part of a winning team, and that's the most important team. Who's captain, who isn't at this club at the moment, isn't the big issue.
No, actually, at Red United Devil has sent us a message saying Paul Pogba can still be a leader on the pitch with or without the captain's armband. Thanks, by the way. There's so many messages coming in for you guys. Ryan Kennedy has one here. Rio is the definition of a captain, a leader on and off the pitch. So you were a captain at Leeds. You got in your early 20s. When you went to United, I know you were captain for the Champions League final in 2008, but you were never the official sort of club captain under Sir Alex. Was that something that you wanted? Did you want that seal of approval from a man like Sir Alex to come to you and say,
I didn't need it. I didn't need it. I think that I wasn't someone who needed that to be able to shout at people. I was a shouter. I was an organiser. I was once someone at the back who, if you played in midfield in front of me, you'd hear me. I'd be trying to move you about. If you played up front, me and Wazzy used to argue all the time during the game, half-time, because I'd scream at him, he'd scream at me. In training ground, if we were losing, I didn't think people were putting it in, I'd scream and shout. And I just think you need people like that in training. It didn't matter whether I had the armband or not. I'd wear it a lot if someone was injured or whatnot. But I wasn't there to be just, I've got to wear the armband to be the captain. I wanted to win. I was obsessed with winning, and that was it.
Yeah, I've never met a person in my life in football that was desperate to be captain, or upset that they weren't captain, somebody else was. Everybody knew that the most important thing about it was, getting behind everybody, helping your teammates out, at times, helping the captain out times when he had a bad game. It wasn't this thing that you were desperate to be captain. Of course, it was a little bit of kudos to lead your team out. Of course it is. And it's a very proud moment. But it wasn't a thing that you were upset about if you weren't captain and somebody else was. All you worried about was playing, helping your team, to win games. I played for England with Martin Keown, and he was one of the most vocal around. One of the most vocal, whether he played or not, whether he is. And it was brilliant because he was, dying for the cause. But he wasn't captain. It might have been Tony Adams, his teammate at Arsenal. But it's that belief that you want to get behind everybody and help somebody out to get to the final thing. And the final thing was winning the game. That's all that mattered.
To be fair to Rio, there can be some really annoying responsibilities that come along with being the official club captain, by the way.
How political is it?
Organising bonuses and, PFA meetings, and there's some stuff that you'd rather miss.
It shouldn't be political, Jake. Political in what way?
You're sort of trying to juggle the desires of the manager with the players, and the manager sort of telling you what the messages he wants to the players, or unhappy players coming to you saying, let's speak to the manager for me.
Well, it shouldn't be like that. I don't think it's necessarily your job as captain to speak to the manager about other players. You'd think if you had a problem, you'd come and speak to the manager yourself. That's how I would perceive it. I don't know now what goes on in the dressing room, but that shouldn't be a role for you as captain to get involved with club politics. Not at all. Your job is to win games and gather your teammates round and win games together. Nothing else.
The best teams don't need one leader.
Yeah, of course.
They need people in there when there's a given moment in a game or in the training ground or wherever they are as a squad, that there's people in there willing to pull people up and say, listen, take responsibility for your actions, what you're doing.
I remember you telling me that when new players would come to United, I said, who was responsible for explaining the way United were? And you were like, all of
everybody.
Us. And if someone came in at half-time and they were celebrating being in the lead, you were like, we don't celebrate winning games, we celebrate trophies here.
Yeah, and you don't get carried away. But within great changing rooms, there's the captain who wears the armband, but there's probably about 4 or 5 lieutenants in there as well that are shaping the way that
while we're here, you look at N'Golo Kante. I don't know the man, but he seems to be one of the most shy people we've ever met. Yeah, he's one of the most influential when he plays football. He's just won the World Cup. He's won all kinds of awards. Absolute incredible footballer. Yet arguably doesn't say anything. It just shows that sometimes, as Rio rightly said, there's different leaders. There's shouters, there's moaners, there's pointers, and there's people who just go out and give 10 out of 10 performances week in, week out for club and country. Interesting. And loads of comments coming in. Michael says, there's no leader in the Man United team. I miss the days of Vidic and Rooney. Luke...
Zigic.
Did he play for Man United, Vidic?
Good job that you never make a mistake. Luca on Facebook
mistakes all the time.
You are. Luca on Facebook says, look at Sergio Ramos at Real Madrid. He inspires his teammates. Ryan Davis on Facebook says that Ramos is the best captain. He leads the team, he scores goals. And Adam says, I think Milner should be captain for Liverpool. Does more and is more of a leader. And Mickey finally says, captain should be like Vieira, Keane and Gerrard. I knew that name would come up at some point. OK, thanks ever so much for joining us. All the people on Facebook, all the people on Twitter. Don't just have Premier League Tonight as this one-off for 10 minutes. Come and join us every Saturday on BT Sport between 8 and 9. There's plenty more conversation. After the break, we're going to be talking about Manchester United. But first, here's some brilliant work happening in the community. courtesy of the BT Sport Premier League Disability Initiative involving Aston Villa's Mila Jedinik. We'll see you after the break. Thanks for joining us.